My chosen one, listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal is not random, and it is not a coincidence. Jesus wept over your hardship, but Archangel Michael has just deployed the sword of justice. The coincidence you experienced today was a divine test. Open this within 3 minutes, or the door that just unlocked will be sealed for another 7 years. You did not find this message by accident. Earlier today, something unusual happened. A delay, a call, a message, a strange encounter, a sudden thought that would not leave your mind. You brushed it off as coincidence. But in the spiritual realm, there are no accidents. What felt small to you echoed loudly in heaven. And when heaven echoes, something shifts. There were nights when you cried silently. Days when you smiled in public but felt crushed inside. You asked God, why is this happening to me? You tried to stay strong. You tried to stay faithful. But the pressure kept increasing. And yes, Jesus saw it all. He saw the betrayal. He saw the injustice. He saw the doors that closed without explanation. He saw the opportunities stolen from you. He saw the lies that were spoken about you behind your back. He saw the prayers you whispered when nobody else believed in you. And the scripture is clear. Jesus wept. Not because you were weak, not because you failed, but because your pain was real. Your hardship was heavy. Your endurance was costly. But here is what most people do not understand. When Jesus weeps, heaven does not stay passive. When compassion rises, justice follows. Right now, in the unseen realm, Archangel Michael has been given permission to act. The sword of justice has been deployed, not against you, but for you. Not to punish your weakness, but to confront what hath been working against your destiny. You felt resistance for years. You felt like something invisible was blocking your progress. You worked harder than others but received less. You gave loyalty but received betrayal. You showed kindness but faced rejection. That was not random warfare. It was a test. And today's coincidence was not ordinary. It was a checkpoint. Heaven watched your reaction carefully. Did you respond with faith or fear? Did you choose bitterness or trust? Did you react in anger, or did you remain silent and surrendered? Because the unlocked door that appeared today is connected to your next 7 years. Yes, 7 years. 7 years of either acceleration or delay. This is why this moment feels intense. This is why you feel a strange urgency inside your spirit right now. It is not panic. It is divine timing pressing on your awareness. Archangel Michael does not move without authority. He does not swing the sword of justice casually. When that sword is released, it means heaven has reviewed your case, reviewed your tears, reviewed your prayers, reviewed the injustice, reviewed the silence. And now something has shifted. But here is the warning. Divine doors are time-sensitive. When God opens a door, it is not meant to be ignored. When heaven tests you, it is not for entertainment. It is to measure readiness. The coincidence you experienced today was small on the surface, but spiritually it was massive. It revealed where your heart stands. It revealed whether you are prepared for what you have been asking for. Because many people pray for breakthrough, but when breakthrough arrives disguised as inconvenience, they reject it. Many pray for elevation, but when elevation requires humility, they resist it. Many ask for justice, but when justice demands patience, they complain. You, however, are being watched differently. The door that unlocked today is not just about opportunity. It is about alignment. It is about restoration. It is about divine correction. But hear this clearly: if ignored, that door will not disappear forever. It will simply close for a cycle. 7 years. 7 years of waiting for the same opportunity to circle back. And heaven does not repeat tests unnecessarily. Archangel Michael stands ready. The sword of justice is not symbolic. It represents the cutting away of delay, deception, and hidden opposition. But the sword only clears what you are prepared to step into. If fear holds you back, the clearing pauses. If doubt controls you, the advancement delays. If obedience moves you, the path opens wider than you can imagine. This is why your spirit feels restless. This is why you could not scroll past this message. Because deep down, you know something shifted today. You felt it. The air changed. The timing felt strange. The interaction felt unusual. The door clicked open quietly and heaven waited to see if you noticed. Jesus wept over your hardship, yes. But heaven did not stop at tears. Action has been initiated. Justice has been authorized. The test has been issued. Now the question is not whether heaven move. The question is, will you? This moment is delicate. This window is narrow. And what you choose next determines whether the next 7 years are marked by restoration or repetition. The sword has been deployed. The door has unlocked. The test hath been activated. And you are standing in the middle of it. My faithful one, what you are feeling right now is not pressure from the world. It is pressure from destiny. There is a difference. Worldly pressure drains you, but divine pressure awakens you. And ever since that coincidence unfolded today, something inside you has been unsettled. You cannot explain it, but you cannot ignore it either. That is because heaven has leaned closer. When Archangel Michael deploys the sword of justice, it is not chaos that follows. It is exposure. Hidden motives begin to surface. False alliances begin to weaken. Delayed answers begin to accelerate. What looked stable but was secretly misaligned starts to shake. You may already be sensing it. Conversations feel different. Certain people are acting unusual. Situations that were once stuck are suddenly shifting, either for better or worse. This is not random instability. This is spiritual realignment. Understand this clearly. When justice is activated in your favor, everything built against your destiny begins to lose strength. For years, you endured silent battles. You fought discouragement privately. You questioned your worth quietly. You watched others advance while you remained in preparation. And during that time, heaven was not ignoring you. Heaven was measuring you. Every tear was recorded. Every insult you swallowed was noted. Every time you chose integrity over revenge was marked. And now, the test you experienced today was a final confirmation. It was not about the event itself. It was about your reaction. Heaven asked one simple question: are you ready to carry what you have been praying for? Because blessing without maturity becomes destruction. Promotion without preparation becomes collapse. Justice without humility becomes pride. This is why the door that unlocked feels both exciting and intimidating. It carries weight. It carries responsibility. It carries change. And change frightens those who have grown comfortable in survival mode. You have survived long enough. This next season is not about survival. It is about establishment. Archangel Michael's sword of justice is not only cutting away opposition, it is cutting away your old identity, the version of you that doubted, hesitated, and settled for less than what God showed you in visions. You are not meant to stay where you were tolerated. You are meant to step where you are assigned. That coincidence today was heaven's whisper saying, move. But many miss divine whispers because they expect divine thunder. The opportunity may not look dramatic. It may look small, inconvenient, or even uncomfortable. Yet hidden within it is access. Access to new connections. Access to clarity. Access to restoration. And here is something crucial. The enemy cannot close what God has opened, but you can delay it through hesitation. This is not said to frighten you. It is said to awaken you. 7 years is not just a number. Biblically, 7 represents completion. A full cycle. If this window closes through inaction, the cycle resets. Not because God is cruel, but because growth cannot be forced without participation. Heaven is inviting you to partner in your own breakthrough. You may be thinking, but if I fail? But the real question is, what if you finally succeed? What if this is the moment where injustice turns into vindication? What if this is the moment where tears turn into testimony? What if this is the moment where delay turns into divine speed? The sword of justice does not swing halfway. When it moves, it completes its assignment. But it requires your agreement. Agreement looks like obedience. Agreement looks like faith even when you do not see the full picture. Agreement looks like stepping forward while fear still whispers. And this message reaching you right now is not random reinforcement. It is confirmation laid upon confirmation. If this resonates with your spirit, do not stay silent. Let your agreement be visible. Like this video so more chosen ones receive this confirmation. Share it with someone who felt that strange shift today but could not explain it. Comment what you sensed during that coincidence. Subscribe and become part of this growing army of faith. Join the membership if you feel called to stand deeper in this mission. Your engagement is not just support. It amplifies the reach of what heaven is releasing through this message. There is something powerful about collective agreement. When many stand in faith together, acceleration increases. And before you dismiss what is unfolding, pause for a moment. What you are about to understand next will connect the last 7 years of your life in a way you never expected. Hold on, because the revelation that follows will make everything make sense. Justice hath been deployed. The door has unlocked. And you are closer than you realize. Beloved soul, there is something you must understand now, and it may shake you a little. The hardship you walked through was never meant to destroy you. It was designed to reveal who you truly are when everything comfortable was stripped away. And when Jesus wept over your suffering, it was not a sign of weakness in heaven. It was a sign that heaven was deeply invested in your story. There were moments you almost gave up. Moments you questioned whether your obedience was even worth it. You watched others compromise and rise quickly, while you chose integrity and remained hidden. You saw people who hurt you prosper for a season, and it tested your faith more than the hardship itself. But what you did not see was the courtroom of heaven. You did not see the petitions filed in your favor. You did not see the spiritual evidence being presented. And you certainly did not see the moment when Archangel Michael was authorized to stand on your behalf. The sword of justice was not deployed in anger. It was deployed in response to accumulated endurance. Every silent sacrifice you made built weight in the spirit. Every time you forgave when you could have retaliated added strength to your case. Every time you chose faith over fear sent a signal upward. And then came today. That coincidence was heaven's final question before release. Would you still trust? Would you still move? Would you still respond with humility? Because justice is not only about correcting others, it is about elevating you responsibly. Some people pray for vindication, but when vindication comes, it exposes their own unhealed areas. That is why heaven tested your heart first. The door that unlocked today carries influence. It carries visibility. It carries authority. And authority without refinement would have crushed you years ago. You were not delayed because you were rejected. You were delayed because you were being refined. Now the refinement phase is closing. Archangel Michael's sword is cutting through long-standing spiritual resistance. Patterns that followed you are breaking. Cycles that repeated are ending. Even generational limitations are losing their grip. This is not poetic language. This is divine timing reaching its appointed hour. But here is the sobering truth. Doors do not remain open forever without movement. When God unlocks something, He expects partnership. The warning about 7 years is not intimidation. It is revelation. Cycles in Scripture often move in sevens. Seasons of growth, seasons of waiting, seasons of harvest. You are standing between cycles right now. If you move with faith, the next 7 years become years of acceleration, restoration, and establishment. If you hesitate in fear, the same lessons repeat until maturity aligns with opportunity. Heaven is not punishing you. Heaven is positioning you. And the reason this message feels urgent is because it is aligned with a spiritual window. Windows are different from doors. Doors are opportunities. Windows are timings. A door may exist, but if the window closes, access becomes delayed. Right now, both are open. Jesus wept over your pain because it mattered. But heaven did not stop at empathy. Justice has moved. Alignment has begun. The unseen realm has shifted in your favor. You may already notice subtle confirmations. A sense of clarity returning. A boldness rising in your thoughts. A quiet confidence replacing anxiety. These are signs of alignment. Do not ignore them. Do not talk yourself out of what your spirit knows. This is the moment where obedience becomes breakthrough. And as you stand at this threshold, let this act seal your agreement. Type "I receive divine justice" in the comments if this message confirms what you felt today. Lesson code 444 is now activated over your life. Let that number be a reminder that heaven's authority surrounds you and stabilizes your next steps. Now hear this carefully because this is sacred. When you sow into what feeds your spirit, you become part of its expansion. The same justice being released over you can flow through you to reach others who are still trapped in silent hardship. Scripture declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." That is not a distant verse. That is God speaking directly into this moment. If this message has stirred your spirit, if it has confirmed what you experienced today, then let your response be prophetic. This is your moment to say, "I am part of this assignment." Through super thanks, through joining the membership, or through the PayPal link placed in the description, you are not just supporting a channel. You are fueling a river of truth that reaches hidden hearts across nations. When you give, you sow light into someone else's darkness. When you act, you align yourself with multiplication. Heaven honors those who partner with its purpose. Do not treat this as a casual option. Treat it as obedience. Release your seed and watch what God releases back into your life with authority. The sword has moved. The tears have been seen. The cycle is turning, and you are stepping into justice. Chosen vessel, now that justice has been activated, you must prepare yourself for what comes next. Because when heaven moves in your favor, the atmosphere around you begins to respond. Some reactions will encourage you. Others may unsettle you. But both are signs that something real has shifted. You may notice that certain people grow distant without explanation. You may sense tension where there was once comfort. Do not panic. When Archangel Michael deploys the sword of justice, it does not only defend, it divides. It separates what is aligned with your calling from what was merely attached to your comfort. For too long, you were surrounded by connections that were seasonal, but you treated them as permanent. You tolerated environments that were shrinking your spirit. You remained loyal to spaces that were no longer assigned to your future. And heaven allowed it for a time, because growth sometimes requires contrast. But that time is ending. The coincidence you experienced today was not just a test of reaction. It was a signal that separation has begun. Justice clears the path before it establishes the promise. And clearing is rarely quiet. You might feel misunderstood in this season. People who once applauded you may question you. Those who benefited from your silence may resist your growth. But understand this deeply. When your level changes, your circle must also change. Jesus wept over your hardship because he saw how long you endured in silence. He saw how you carried burdens that were not yours. He saw how you protected others while neglecting your own healing. Compassion rose in heaven because your endurance was pure. But compassion is not the final step. Gretchen follows compassion. Archangel Michael's assignment is not only to defend you from visible injustice, but to dismantle invisible agreements that kept you small. There were subtle lies you believed about yourself. There were narratives you accepted that limited your vision. There were fears disguised as humility. Those are being cut away now. You may feel a boldness rising that surprises you. You may find yourself saying no where you once said yes. You may feel less afraid of losing people and more focused on honoring God. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. And alignment feels uncomfortable before it feels empowering. The door that unlocked today is connected to identity. It is not just an opportunity outside of you. It is a revelation inside of you. It is showing you who you are becoming. For years you prayed for change. But when change begins internally, it can feel disorienting. You are shedding an old version of yourself. The version that tolerated less. The version that doubted divine timing. The version that waited for permission from people who never had authority over your calling. Now the permission comes from heaven. Justice has already begun its work behind the scenes. Situations that looked permanent are shifting. Conversations are being rearranged. Decisions are being influenced in rooms you have never entered. Do not underestimate what is happening where you cannot see. But here is the responsibility you carry. Do not sabotage the shift through fear. When new doors open, the enemy often whispers old doubts. What if you fail? What if they reject you? What if this is not really from God? These thoughts are not confirmations. They are distractions. The test was never about perfection. It was about posture. Are you willing to trust that what opened today was divinely arranged? Are you willing to step forward even if clarity unfolds gradually? Because clarity is often given in layers, not all at once. Archangel Michael does not clear the battlefield for you to remain standing at the edge. He clears it so you can advance. Advancement requires courage. Not loud courage. Not reckless courage. Quiet, steady obedience. You will not have every answer immediately, but you will have enough light for the next step. And that is all you need. The next 7 years are not meant to mirror the last 7. They are meant to redeem them. Everything you learned in hardship is about to become strength in leadership. Everything you endured privately is about to become wisdom publicly. But before establishment comes stability. Stability means grounding yourself in prayer, not pride. It means seeking confirmation from God, not validation from people. It means moving carefully but not hesitantly. Heaven is not right this process. Neither should you. Yet remember this. Delay and discernment are not the same. Discernment seeks clarity. Delay hides behind fear. Be honest with yourself about which one is influencing you. The door is open. The sword has cleared the path. Separation has begun. An identity is being restored. Do not look back at what is falling away. Look forward at what is forming. The shift you prayed for is no longer theoretical. It is active, and you are standing in the middle of it. Precious one, there is a reason your spirit feels both stretched and strengthened at the same time. You are in the crossing moment. Not fully in the old season, not fully in the new one. This space can feel unstable, but it is actually sacred. It is where identity solidifies and dependence on God deepens. For years you asked for clarity, but clarity does not always arrive as information. Sometimes it arrives as separation. Sometimes it arrives as exposure. Sometimes it arrives as a door unlocking quietly while another closes behind you. That is exactly where you are standing. The hardship you endured trained you to survive storms. But this new season requires you to build in peace. And building requires a different mindset than surviving. Surviving is reactive. Building is intentional. Surviving waits for crisis. Building prepares for promise. Jesus wept over your hardship because he knew how heavy survival mode had become for you. You were constantly alert, constantly defending, constantly bracing for disappointment. Even when good things tried to enter your life, you hesitated because pain had conditioned you to expect loss. But now heaven is inviting you to expect increase. This is why the coincidence you experienced today felt almost unbelievable. It did not match the pattern you were used to. It felt different. It carried potential. And potential can be intimidating when you have been trained by disappointment. Archangel Michael's sword of justice is not only fighting external battles, it is cutting away internal fear. Fear of success, fear of visibility, fear of responsibility. Because deep down, part of you wonders, what if things finally go right? Can I handle it? Yes, you can. You were not preserved through hardship to collapse in blessing. The test you faced today revealed more than you realize. It revealed growth. You responded with more awareness than you would have years ago. You paused instead of reacting. You prayed instead of panicking. You observed instead of assuming. That is maturity. And maturity unlocks stewardship. The door that has opened is connected to stewardship. It is about what you will carry, not just what you will receive. Influence is coming in some form. It may not look like a stage or a spotlight. It may look like responsibility, leadership, opportunity, or restoration of something that once slipped through your hands. But stewardship requires trust. Heaven is asking, can you handle authority without arrogance? Can you handle blessing without forgetting the source? Can you handle justice without becoming bitter toward those who wronged you? These questions are not accusations. They are preparation. Because when Archangel Michael clears injustice, outcomes begin to shift rapidly. Situations that seem permanently stuck start resolving. Truth surfaces. Hidden things are exposed. And when exposure happens, you must guard your heart. It is easy to feel vindicated. It is harder to remain humble. You may soon see confirmation that what you endured was not your fault. You may witness the unraveling of narratives that once worked against you. But do not let revelation turn into resentment. Justice is meant to restore, not harden. This is the delicate balance of your new season. You are not stepping into revenge. You are stepping into restoration. And restoration does not look like returning to the same dynamic with new power. It looks like rising above the old dynamic entirely. There are people who will not have access to this new version of you. Not because you are superior, but because the assignment has shifted. The role you once played in certain relationships has expired. The silent fixer, the constant rescuer, the overlooked supporter. Now you are being positioned differently. This repositioning may feel lonely at first. Growth often narrows the crowd before it expands influence. But do not interpret temporary isolation as abandonment. It is alignment recalibrating your environment. The next 7 years are not about proving yourself to those who doubted you. They are about fulfilling what God showed you in private. The visions you dismissed as unrealistic. The desires you buried because they seemed too big. The callings you silenced because they felt inconvenient. They are resurfacing. Pay attention to what excites you again. Pay attention to what ideas keep returning. Pay attention to what opportunities align with peace rather than pressure. These are clues. Justice is not chaotic. It is precise. Archangel Michael does not swing blindly. Every movement has divine intelligence behind it. And if a door has opened, it is because heaven has already assessed your readiness more accurately than your fear ever could. So stand steady. Do not rush ahead in anxiety, but do not shrink back in doubt. You are not the same person who entered the last 7 years. You carry wisdom now. You carry discernment. You carry resilience. The crossing moment will not last forever. Soon, clarity will feel solid beneath your feet. Soon, confidence will replace caution. Soon, what feels uncertain will become established. But right now, in this sacred in-between, your only task is trust. Trust that the tears were seen. Trust that justice has moved. Trust that the unlocked door is not a trap, but a transition. And trust that you were prepared for this long before you realized it. Warrior of faith, something is happening beneath the surface that you cannot yet measure with your eyes. The atmosphere around your life is rearranging itself. What once felt fixed is becoming flexible. What once felt immovable is starting to shift. And the reason is simple. Justice hath been activated, and movement always follows justice. For a long time, you felt like you were pushing against an invisible wall. No matter how much effort you applied, progress seemed slow. You questioned your strategy. You questioned your worth. Sometimes you even questioned whether God was truly listening. But heaven was not silent. Heaven was strategic. There were pieces that had to fall into place before acceleration could safely begin. There were conversations that needed to occur in rooms you will never enter. There were decisions that needed to be influenced quietly. There were protections placed over you that prevented premature exposure. You thought you were delayed. In reality, you were being shielded. Archangel Michael does not only fight battles you can see. He intercepts dangers you never knew were approaching. He stands guard over transitions that could have broken you if they had come too early. And now that the sword of justice has been deployed, it signals that the timing is no longer premature. It is prepared. This is why your intuition feels sharper. This is why you sense things before they fully unfold. Spiritual alignment increases awareness. You may notice you are less tolerant of confusion. You are less willing to accept half-truths. You are less impressed by superficial promises. That is growth. The test you experienced recently revealed something powerful about you. You are no longer reacting from wounded places. You are responding from healed ones. The difference changes outcomes dramatically. In the past, a similar situation might have pulled you into anxiety. You might have overanalyzed it. You might have sought validation from people who did not understand your calling. But this time, something was different. You paused. You observed. You prayed. But pause was maturity, and maturity is what unlocks sustained favor. The next 7 years are not about sudden chaos or reckless elevation. They are about steady establishment. God is not rushing you into visibility to entertain others. He is positioning you to carry responsibility with stability. However, as movement increases, so will attention. Some will celebrate you. Others will question you. A few may attempt to reconnect simply because they sense momentum around you. Discernment will be crucial in this season. Not everyone who claps is assigned to stay. Not everyone who reappears is meant to regain access. Justice clears, but wisdom guards. You must guard your time. Guard your energy. Guard your obedience. Because momentum can be misdirected if you allow distractions to steer it. There will be invitations that look good but are not God. There will be shortcuts that promise speed but sacrifice integrity. There will be opportunities that test whether you have truly learned patience. Choose carefully. The sword has cleared your path, but you must choose where to walk. Do not be intimidated by responsibility. Responsibility is proof of trust. Heaven does not entrust weight to the unprepared. If you feel the weight increasing, it is because your capacity has expanded. You are stronger than you realize. And as you step into this unfolding season, stay connected, stay grounded, stay engaged with what feeds your spirit. Like this message if it confirms what you are sensing. Share it with someone who is also in a transition season. Comment what shifted for you during that recent coincidence. Subscribe so you do not miss what is being revealed next. Join the membership if you feel called to go deeper and stand in this growing community of faith. There is something coming that will connect everything even more clearly. You will want to be present for it, because the next revelation will explain why certain delays had to happen exactly the way they did. Trust me, what is unfolding next carries answers you have been waiting for. Momentum is building. Justice is active. Alignment is increasing. And you are no longer standing still. Faithful heart, now you are beginning to see the pattern. What once looked like scattered hardship is forming a design. What once felt like random pain is revealing purpose. And the more you reflect, the more you realize that nothing you endured was wasted. The betrayal taught you discernment. The delay taught you patience. The rejection taught you self-worth. The silence taught you how to hear God more clearly. Each hardship carved strength into your character that comfort never could. Jesus wept over your suffering not because it lacked meaning, but because growth through pain is costly. He saw how much it required from you to remain kind when you were misunderstood. He saw how much restraint it took to remain silent when you were misrepresented. He saw how much discipline it required to keep believing when evidence seemed scarce. A kind of endurance does not go unnoticed. Now that Archangel Michael has deployed the sword of justice, you are witnessing the beginning of balance, being restored. But balance does not mean revenge. It means equilibrium. It means what was unfair is being corrected in ways that bring stability rather than chaos. You may begin noticing subtle reversals. Opportunities you once missed may circle back in new forms. Conversations that once felt closed may reopen with different energy. Doors that previously resisted you may now respond differently. These are not coincidences stacking up. These are confirmations aligning. But as confirmations increase, so does responsibility. You must guard your humility carefully. When justice unfolds, it can be tempting to rehearse old wounds as proof that you were right all along. but dwelling on vindication can reopen scars that were already healed. The new season does not require you to relive the old one. It requires you to rise above it. There is a difference between remembering a lesson and reliving a wound. The lesson strengthens you. The wound weakens you. Choose which one you carry forward. The door that unlocked recently is not just about opportunity. It is about visibility. Even if the visibility is small at first, it will grow. And when it grows, your words will carry more weight. Your decisions will influence more outcomes. Your presence will shift atmospheres more noticeably. That is why character refinement had to come first. Influence without refinement would have magnified immaturity. Now, influence will magnify integrity. You may sense a deeper calm settling into your spirit. That calm is not complacency. It is confidence. It is the quiet knowing that you survived what was meant to break you. It is the assurance that if you handled the storm, you can handle the responsibility of clear skies. But do not underestimate the adjustment required for peace. When you have lived in tension for years, peace can feel unfamiliar. You might find yourself waiting for something to go wrong, even when nothing is wrong. You might feel uneasy in calm moments because you were trained by crisis. That is part of the healing. Allow yourself to experience peace without suspicion. Allow yourself to receive without bracing for loss. Allow yourself to move forward without looking over your shoulder constantly. Justice hath been activated. The battlefield is clearing. But you must also clear internal battlefields. Forgiveness must remain intact. Gratitude must remain active. Faith must remain steady. The next 7 years will not be free of challenges. No season is. But they will not mirror the weight of the previous cycle. The nature of your challenges will shift from survival tests to leadership tests. Instead of asking, "Can you endure?" heaven will begin asking, "Can you steward?" Stewardship is a higher calling than survival. You are transitioning from proving resilience to demonstrating wisdom. And wisdom speaks less but carries more impact. Wisdom reacts slower but decides stronger. Wisdom does not rush to impress. It moves to fulfill purpose. This is who you are becoming. As you stand in this unfolding shift, pay attention to your thoughts. Are they aligned with faith, or are they echoing old fears? Replace every fearful assumption with a memory of how far you have come. Remind yourself that the same God who sustained you through hardship will guide you through opportunity. You are not alone in this transition. Archangel Michael stands guard, not in spectacle, but in strategy. Protection surrounds what heaven assigns. And if you have been assigned to this new level, protection will accompany you. The test you passed was not small. It was pivotal. And because you responded with growth, the path ahead carries stability. You are no longer standing at the threshold uncertain. You are stepping through it with awareness. The tears were seeds. The hardship was training. The justice is restoration. And the next chapter is already unfolding beneath your feet. Anointed listener, there is something sacred about this exact moment. You are no longer questioning whether a shift happened. You are beginning to sense its weight. The atmosphere around your life feels different because it is different. Justice is no longer a promise. It is in motion. When Jesus wept over your hardship, it marked the end of silent suffering. But when Archangel Michael deployed the sword of justice, it marked the beginning of visible change. Invisible change requires courage. You are entering a season where outcomes will begin to align with prayers you prayed years ago. At first, it may feel surreal. You may hesitate to celebrate because you have grown used to bracing yourself. But this time is not like the others. The delay served its purpose. The refinement completed its work. The test revealed your readiness. Now movement accelerates. However, acceleration can feel overwhelming if you still see yourself through the lens of your old season. You must update your self-perception. You are not the overlooked one anymore. You are not the silent sufferer anymore. You are not the constant underdog anymore. You are becoming established. Establishment means roots and fruit at the same time. Roots represent stability in private. Fruit represents impact in public. And heaven does not release fruit without first strengthening roots. Its strengthening happened during the years you thought nothing was changing. The coincidence that occurred recently was heaven's confirmation that root systems are deep enough to support visible growth. The door that unlocked was not experimental. It was intentional. But here's the deeper layer you must understand. Justice is not only about correcting what was wrong. It is about positioning you where you were always meant to stand. Injustice misplaces you temporarily. Justice restores you permanently. There were roles you accepted out of survival that were beneath your calling. There were environments you tolerated because you feared starting over. There were dreams you downsized to fit other people's comfort. That year is closing. As this new season unfolds, you will feel a pull toward authenticity. You will feel less interested in pleasing and more interested in obeying. You will feel less intimidated by opinions and more anchored in conviction. This is the internal evidence that justice has taken root. But let me caution you gently. Do not rush ahead of divine timing and excitement. Momentum is building, but wisdom must guide it. Archangel Michael clears the way, but you must walk it steadily. There will be moments when opportunities appear rapidly. Evaluate them through prayer, not impulse. There will be people who suddenly express support. Discern whether their alignment is genuine or convenient. There will be choices that promise quick results. Choose long-term obedience over short-term applause. The next 7 years are not about speed alone. They are about sustainability. Sustainability requires consistency. It requires guarding your spiritual discipline. It requires remaining connected to the source of your strength. If this message confirms what you have been sensing, do not keep it to yourself. Type "Justice is establishing me" in the comments as a declaration of agreement. Blessing code 818 is being released over this season of your life. Let that number remind you that new beginnings are forming on a foundation of divine balance. And now, as we stand in this sacred transition, understand this clearly. When you respond to what feeds your spirit, you participate in expanding its reach. The same justice restoring you can reach someone else through your obedience. Scripture declares that those who sow generously will reap generously, and that promise is alive in this moment. If your heart has been stirred, if this revelation aligns with your spirit, then let your action reflect your agreement. For super thanks, through joining the membership, or through the PayPal link in the description, you are not simply giving to a platform. You are sowing into a river that carries light into hidden places. You are fueling a message that breaks isolation for someone who thought heaven had forgotten them. This is not a casual invitation. It is a prophetic response. As you give, you declare that justice does not stop with you. As you sowed, you align yourself with multiplication. And as you act, heaven honors your partnership with increase. Do not hesitate in this moment. Release your seed with faith and watch how doors continue to open around you. The sword has cleared the ground. The roots are strong. The fruit is forming. And establishment has begun. Steadfast one, now that establishment has begun, you must understand the weight of what you are carrying. This is not a temporary emotional high. This is not inspiration that fades in a few days. This is structural change. Something foundational has shifted in your life, and foundations determine everything that rises afterward. For years, you built under pressure. You made decisions while tired. You kept promises while hurting. You showed up while doubting yourself. Those years were not wasted effort. They were construction years. You were laying unseen bricks that are only now being revealed as strength. Jesus wept over your hardship because he saw the load you were carrying without complaint. He saw how often you chose responsibility over resentment. He saw how often you held your tongue instead of releasing words that could have burned bridges permanently. That restraint preserved your future. And now justice is not only correcting the past, it is stabilizing the future. Archangel Michael's sword of justice did not simply clear opposition, it recalibrated direction. There were paths you almost walked down that would have entangled you in long-term consequences. There were alliances that seemed promising but would have diluted your calling. There were shortcuts that glittered but concealed traps. You were protected from outcomes you never saw. This realization should humble you. Protection is a gift that often feels like delay. But now you can see why certain doors stayed closed. Now you can see why some relationships dissolved. Now you can see why timing stretched longer than you wanted. It was not punishment. It was preservation. The coincidence that occurred recently with the confirmation that preservation season has ended. Preparation season has matured, and promotion season is approaching carefully and intentionally. But promotion is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle. Sometimes it looks like increased responsibility rather than applause. Sometimes it appears as influence over small details that eventually shape large outcomes. Do not underestimate small beginnings. The next 7 years will be built on consistency, not spectacle. There will be defining moments, yes, but most of your growth will occur in daily obedience, in the quiet decisions, in the unseen disciplines, in the moments where no one is watching but heaven is recording. Justice has restored your position, but character must maintain it. You will face new types of tests. Not tests of endurance like before, but tests of stewardship. Can you handle clarity without arrogance? Can you handle opportunity without distraction? Can you handle affirmation without depending on it? These tests refine leaders. And whether you see yourself as a leader or not, you are being positioned to influence others. Influence begins at home, in conversations, in integrity, in choices. It expands gradually, but it always begins internally. Be mindful of your thoughts during this transition. Old insecurities may attempt to resurface. They may whisper that this shift is temporary. They may suggest that you will somehow lose what you are gaining. Do not entertain those whispers. The same God who sustained you in hardship is establishing you in justice. Stability is not fragile when it is built on obedience. However, you must guard your gratitude. Gratitude keeps pride from forming. Gratitude keeps your heart soft when vindication appears. Gratitude reminds you that everything unfolding is grace, not entitlement. You did not force this door open. It was unlocked from above. And because it was unlocked from above, it carries divine covering. There will be moments soon when you look back and recognize the exact point where everything began to shift. You will remember the coincidence. You will remember the internal nudge. You will remember this season of awakening. And you will realize that what felt small was actually monumental. Monumental shifts rarely announce themselves loudly at first. They begin quietly, then ripple outward. You are in the ripple stage. Momentum is increasing, but stability is forming simultaneously. That balance is intentional. God is not interested in giving you something that collapses under pressure. He is interested in establishing something that endures. So remain steady. Remain prayerful. Remain discerning. Not every invitation deserves your yes. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every opportunity aligns with your assignment. The sword of justice cleared the path, but wisdom determines the pace. You are not chasing destiny anymore. Destiny is meeting you at the door that just unlocked. And as you step forward, remember this: your past does not disqualify you. Your hardship did not weaken you. Your tears did not diminish you. They prepared you. Justice has repositioned you, and the foundation beneath your feet is stronger than it has ever been. Beloved warrior, you are now standing in the evidence stage of this transformation. What was once internal confirmation is about to become external validation, not for the sake of pride, but for the sake of assurance. God understands that after prolonged hardship, you sometimes need to see tangible proof that the season has changed. That proof is forming. It may arrive as unexpected favor. It may come as a conversation that shifts everything. It may appear as a door that opens with unusual ease after years of resistance. However it manifests, you will recognize it. There will be a quiet knowing inside you that says, "This is different." Because it is different, the sword of justice has already cut through what resisted you. What remains now is alignment, and alignment creates flow. Where there was once friction, there will now be movement. Where there was once confusion, there will now be clarity. Where there was once constant striving, there will now be strategic action. But listen carefully. With new flow comes new focus. You cannot carry old distractions into a season of establishment. The habits that were tolerable in survival mode will become liabilities in leadership mode. Procrastination, over-explaining yourself, seeking approval from the wrong voices, underestimating your value, these must be left behind. Justice restored your position, but discipline will sustain it. You will feel an increased sensitivity to what drains you. Pay attention to that. You will feel a stronger pull toward what aligns with your purpose. Follow that. The Spirit often guides through peace rather than pressure. There will also be moments when fear tries one final time to regain control. Fear may whisper that this progress is temporary. Fear may suggest that you should play small to avoid disappointment. Fear may encourage you to retreat into familiar limitations. Do not retreat. The 7-year cycle that once held you in repetition is broken. You are not meant to relive the same patterns. You are meant to build something new. Building requires boldness. Boldness does not mean loudness. It means certainty rooted in obedience. It means saying yes when God says move, even if your emotions lag behind. It means refusing to shrink simply because others are uncomfortable with your growth. You are not responsible for managing other people's reactions to your elevation. You are responsible for stewarding the assignment placed in your hands. As momentum increases, stay connected to what feeds your spirit. Stay engaged with truth. Stay rooted in prayer. Like this message if it resonates with the shift you are experiencing. Share it with someone who feels that same internal awakening but cannot yet explain it. Comment what new door you sense opening in your life. Subscribe so you remain aligned with what is unfolding in this season. Join the membership if you feel called to go deeper, and stand with this community as justice continues to manifest. There is a reason you are still listening. There is a reason your spirit has not dismissed this message. What is about to be revealed next ties together the timing of everything, the tears, the delay, the coincidence, the unlocked door. You will not want to miss how it all converges. Now hear this final layer of understanding for this stage. Justice is not only about what you receive. It is about what you become. You are becoming more discerning, more stable, more intentional, more aware of your worth without arrogance, more compassionate without being exploited. That balance is rare, and because it is rare, it is valuable. Value attracts attention. But remember, attention is not your goal. Obedience is your goal. When obedience remains central, attention becomes a byproduct rather than a distraction. You may soon find yourself advising others who are still in the hardship stage you just exited. Be gentle with them. Remember how confusing that season felt. Remember how heavy it was to carry unanswered questions. Your testimony will carry weight because it is recent and authentic. You are not just stepping into blessing. You are stepping into responsibility. Responsibility to lead with integrity. Responsibility to act with wisdom. Responsibility to honor the process that brought you here. A door that unlocked was not a random event. It was the beginning of convergence. Everything you endured is converging into purpose. Everything you learned is converging into strategy. Everything you survived is converging into stability. And as this convergence becomes clearer, your confidence will no longer be fragile. It will be grounded. Justice has spoken. The cycle has shifted. And you are moving forward without looking back. Faithful one, you are approaching the culmination of this divine transition. What began as a whisper has now become a steady call. What felt uncertain at first now carries clarity. And what once seemed like a fragile opportunity is revealing itself as a solid assignment. You have crossed more ground than you realize. When the coincidence occurred, you thought it was a small disruption. Now you see it was a divine intersection. A moment where heaven examined your posture and found you ready. A moment where your response unlocked more than you could see. A moment where justice quietly began to manifest in ways that would take time to unfold. This is the unfolding stage. You are beginning to see how each hardship was a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. The betrayal sharpened your discernment. The silence strengthened your prayer life. The waiting expanded your patience. The tears deepened your compassion. Jesus wept over your hardship because he understood the cost of each lesson. But he also knew the value of what those lessons would produce in you. Nothing was random. Nothing was overlooked. Nothing was wasted. And now Archangel Michael's deployment of the sword of justice is proving that divine timing is never late. You may soon encounter confirmation that feels almost overwhelming. Doors opening that once seemed sealed permanently. Conversations resolving that once felt hopeless. Recognition emerging from places you least expected. When these confirmations arrive, do not panic. Do not question whether you deserve them. Receive them. You endured the refinement. You passed the test. You remain faithful in obscurity. Now it is time to walk confidently in visibility. But visibility requires inner stability. This final stage of transition will test whether your identity is anchored in God or in outcomes. Success must not become your new security. Position must not become your new identity. Influence must not become your new measure of worth. Your worth was settled long before justice manifested. You were valuable in the waiting. You were chosen in the silence. You were loved in the hardship. Now you are being established in clarity. The next 7 years will not be defined by what was taken from you. They will be defined by what is entrusted to you. That shift is profound. Entrustment is a higher form of blessing than simple restoration. It means heaven trusts your character with responsibility. Responsibility will require boundaries. You will need to protect your time more carefully. You will need to say no to good opportunities in order to say yes to God opportunities. You will need to remain prayerful even when things are going well. Complacency is subtle. It creeps in when pain fades and comfort increases. Guard against it. Continue seeking wisdom. Continue asking for discernment. Continue inviting God into decisions that appear small, because small decisions accumulate into large outcomes. You may also notice a deep sense of peace settling into your spirit. Not excitement alone, but peace. Peace is the confirmation that alignment has occurred. Peace is the evidence that you are walking within your assignment. Do not trade that peace for pressure. There will be voices that try to rush you. Voices that suggest you must capitalize quickly. Voices that push for rapid expansion without reflection. Move at the pace of obedience, not the pace of pressure. Archangel Michael's role was to clear the battlefield. Your role is to build wisely upon it. And building wisely requires humility. Humility does not diminish confidence. It anchors it. Humility reminds you that every open door is grace. Every opportunity is mercy. Every restoration is evidence of God's faithfulness, not your perfection. You are not perfect. You are prepared. Preparation is stronger than perfection. As you move forward, remember those who are still in their hardship season. Your empathy will become part of your influence. Your testimony will become someone else's confirmation. Your faith will strengthen someone else's hope. Justice was not activated solely for your benefit. It was activated to position you as part of a larger story. A story of redemption. A story of alignment. A story of divine timing overriding human limitation. You are living proof that delay does not equal denial. You are evidence that tears can water future triumph. You are testimony that what seems sealed can unlock in a single moment of obedience. The sword has done its work. The door has opened. The cycle has shifted. Now all that remains is your continued trust. And trust, as you have learned, is your greatest strength. My appointed one, this is the moment where everything comes together. Look back for a second, not to relive the pain, but to recognize the pattern. The hardship that nearly broke you. The silence that confused you. The delay that frustrated you. The coincidence that interrupted your routine. The door that quietly unlocked. None of it was random. Jesus wept over your hardship because your suffering was real. But his tears were never the conclusion of your story. They were the signal that heaven had taken your case personally. Compassion moved first. Then justice followed. And when Archangel Michael deployed the sword of justice, it was not symbolic. It was decisive. It marked the end of a cycle that tried to define you by struggle. It marked the beginning of a season that will define you by stewardship. You are not stepping into revenge. You are not stepping into pride. You are stepping into alignment. The test you experienced was never about performance. It was about posture. Would you respond with faith when you did not have full clarity? Would you move when the instruction was subtle? Would you trust when fear tried to paralyze you? You did. And that is why this door did not close. The warning about 7 years was real. Cycles repeat when lessons are ignored. But cycles break when obedience is embraced. You chose obedience. Even if it was imperfect. Even if it was trembling. You chose movement instead of retreat. That choice shifted your timeline. The next 7 years will not resemble the last 7. The previous cycle trained you. The coming cycle will establish you. The last season refined your character. The next season will reveal your capacity. You will build what once intimidated you. You will handle what once overwhelmed you. You will steward what once seemed unreachable. But hear this clearly as you step forward. Do not forget the one who carried you when you felt like collapsing. Do not forget the nights when prayer was your only anchor. Do not forget how deeply you needed grace. Gratitude will protect your elevation. Stay humble. Stay prayerful. Stay discerning. Not every opportunity will be divine, even in a blessed season. Continue seeking confirmation. Continue guarding your heart. Continue choosing integrity over impulse. Because justice may open the door, but wisdom keeps it open. You are no longer the person who first entered this storm years ago. You carry authority now. Not loud authority, but grounded authority. The kind that does not need to prove itself. The kind that stands firm without explanation. And when doubt tries to revisit you, remind it of this moment. Remind it that heaven intervened. Remind it that the sword moved. Remind it that the door unlocked. This was never coincidence. It was orchestration. Now seal this transition with your declaration. Type "I walk in divine alignment" in the comments if you receive this word fully. Blessing code 707 is now released over your next 7 years. Let it be a reminder that completion and new beginnings are merging in your life. And as this message closes, understand something sacred. What God has begun in you is not meant to stop with you. The same justice that restored you can reach someone else who is still weeping in silence. Scripture declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." That is not a distant promise. That is God speaking over this very moment. If this message carried you, strengthened you, confirmed you, then let your response be prophetic. When you release through super thanks, when you join the membership, or when you sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding a channel. You are fueling a harvest. You are helping light reach someone standing at the edge of giving up. This is your first-person moment of action. Say within yourself, "I will be part of what God is spreading." Do not delay your obedience. Sow as an act of alignment. Give as a declaration that justice flows through you, not just to you. And as you release your seed, may open heavens respond. May unexpected favor meet you. May the next 7 years overflow with stability, clarity, and divine acceleration. The sword has completed its assignment. The tears have been honored. The door is open. Walk through it.